And the Oscar goes to Clint Eastwood for $1 Million Baby.
How does a man become a true Hollywood legend? Is it talent, hard work, or maybe a bit of luck? For Clint Eastwood, it was all that and more. And his life has been anything but smooth sailing. Beneath the steely gaze and no-nonsense attitude lies a life marked by incredible challenges, from near-death experiences to heartbreaking personal struggles. And honestly, the story of how he became one of the most iconic actors and directors of all time is nothing short of jaw-dropping. But how did a boy from humble beginnings transform into the face of American cinema? And did his turbulent past shape the Clint Eastwood we know today? Stick with us till the end to uncover the untold story of the man behind the legend. Let's get into it. Clint Eastwood was born on May 31, 1930, at St. Francis Hospital in San Francisco. Weighing in at a whopping 11 pounds, he shocked the nurses so much that they nicknamed him Samson. His parents, Clinton Sr. and Ruth, had roots that ran deep across English, Scottish, Dutch, German, and Irish ancestry. Later on, Clint's younger sister Jean would join the family. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for the Eastwoods. Clint's dad struggled to hold down a steady job in the 30s, trying everything from sales to detective work in San Francisco. Life was a constant shuffle from one place to the next. But by 1940, they finally found stability in Piedmont, California. And unlike the Depression-era stories you might expect, the Eastwoods actually enjoyed a comfortable lifestyle. They had a pool, a country club membership, and everything that came with the good life. School, though, that was another story. Clint wasn't exactly the star student. He struggled with his grades and was even held back a year in junior high, forcing him to take summer classes to catch up. And let's just say he wasn't exactly the model student at Piedmont High. He got into trouble for some pretty wild stunts, like that one time he set an effigy on fire on the school lawn. Unsurprisingly, he was expelled. From there, he went to Oakland Technical High, where teachers saw potential in him, encouraging him to try out for school plays. But Clint wasn't interested. He was more into fast cars, girls, and hobbies like tennis, golf, and working on engines. Clint even became so skilled at the piano that his fingers would bleed from hours of practice. But as for graduation, well, that's still up for debate. Records are fuzzy, and some friends believe Clint simply dropped out to pursue a good time. Clint's young adult years were filled with hard work and unexpected opportunities. From logging in Oregon to playing piano in Oakland bars, he was far from the Hollywood scene. Then came the Korean War. In 1951, Clint was drafted, but instead of seeing combat, he ended up at Fort Ord in California, serving as a swimming instructor. A safe gig, right? Well, not exactly. On September 30, 1951, Clint caught a ride on a military plane from Seattle back to base. But this was no ordinary flight. Right from takeoff, things started going wrong. First, the back door flew open, then the radios cut out, and the oxygen systems failed. When the plane eventually ran out of fuel, the pilot was forced to ditch into the Pacific Ocean. Imagine that. A young Clint Eastwood stranded miles off the California coast in freezing, shark-infested waters. Clint and the pilot managed to inflate rafts and paddled through the waves, but his raft flipped over, and he had to swim 2 to 4 miles, depending on who tells the story. Exhausted, Clint finally stumbled onto shore, hallucinating from the ordeal. This near-death experience would later inspire his role in Escape from Alcatraz, where he plays an inmate trying to swim across the San Francisco Bay. It's almost as if real life gave him the grit and resilience that would make his on-screen performances so believable. As if the plane crash wasn't intense enough, Eastwood's path to Hollywood still wasn't straightforward. After the military, Clint worked a series of odd jobs, including one at a sugar company to make ends meet. He even had a bit of a romance with an officer's daughter, a connection that helped him along the way. But it wasn't until a chance encounter at a Malibu party where he met film director Howard Hawks that things began to change. From that moment, the doors to Hollywood slowly began to open. Then came the 70s, a turning point for Clint Eastwood, both personally and professionally. He traded his cowboy hat for a badge and transformed into Dirty Harry, the gritty, rule-bending cop of San Francisco. And let's be honest, Dirty Harry wasn't just a character. He was practically a force of nature. Films like Thunderbolt and Lightfoot and The Gauntlet kept this edgy, law-bending persona alive, blurring the lines between hero and anti-hero. Eastwood wasn't just about grit, though. He showed his comedic side with the Every Which Way films, which featured his unlikely sidekick, an orangutan named Clyde. Fans loved seeing this different side of him, and the movies were big hits. But even amidst the humor, Clint took on some heavy projects. In 1979, he starred in Escape from Alcatraz, where he plays a convict escaping the infamous island prison. The role seemed almost symbolic of his life, overcoming impossible odds, escaping near-death situations, and fighting for survival. However, Eastwood's career wasn't without tragedy. During the filming of the 1975 thriller, The Eiger Sanction, a horrifying accident struck the film crew. David Knowles, a talented climber and stunt double, was killed when a boulder broke loose and fell on him during a scene. Clint was devastated and nearly walked away from the project, feeling responsible for the death. But his team convinced him to push through and finish the film in honor of Knowles' memory. It's one of those haunting moments where the line between real life and Hollywood fantasy was almost indistinguishable. The 80s and 90s marked a new era for Eastwood. His characters became more complex, facing inner demons and dealing with PTSD, as we see in Firefox, where he plays a pilot haunted by his past. His role in Tightrope saw him as a cop whose obsession with a case takes a toll on his mental health. Then there was Unforgiven, the Western that earned him an Academy Award. Here, Clint returned to his roots as an ex-outlaw wrestling with the violence of his past. He wasn't just a gunslinger anymore. He was a man burdened by his choices, a theme that hit closer to home as Clint himself aged. By the 2000s, Eastwood evolved again, bringing us into the grumpy old guy phase of his career. In $1 Million Baby, he plays a reluctant boxing coach, and in Gran Torino, he's a bigoted veteran who finds redemption in an unexpected friendship. These roles weren't just acting, they felt real, reflecting Clint's own journey through life, complete with regrets, redemption, and resilience. But Clint's personal life? It was just as complex as any of his movie characters. He married his first wife, Maggie Johnson, in 1953, but stability wasn't his strong suit. Clint's restless nature led to multiple affairs over the years, resulting in a complicated family history. There were children he didn't know about, relationships that ended in painful ways, and secrets that stayed hidden for decades. One of the most dramatic relationships was with actress Sandra Locke, whom he met in 1972. Their chemistry on set was undeniable, but off-screen, things weren't so rosy. Their relationship ended in bitter lawsuits and accusations, and it left lasting scars on both of them. Then came his whirlwind romance with Dina Ruiz, which seemed stable at first. But after nearly 2 decades together, that marriage too came to an end. Yet somehow, Clint managed to stay on good terms with most of his exes, and his large family has become a significant part of his later life. At 93, Clint Eastwood is still going strong. Although concerns about his health surfaced after he wasn't seen in public for over 450 days, he made a surprising comeback at a conservation event with Jane Goodall, looking healthy and even sporting a longer beard. And believe it or not, he's still directing. Clint's latest project, Juror Number 2, proves he's not ready to slow down just yet. When it comes to staying fit, Clint sticks to a strict low-fat, high-protein diet, focusing on health and longevity. He's inspired his son, Scott Eastwood, who follows a similar regimen and looks up to his dad's discipline. Clint's dedication to fitness, work, and family speaks volumes about the man he is today, a legend who refuses to be defined by his age. So, did Clint Eastwood's turbulent past shape the legend we see today? Maybe it did. From a near-fatal plane crash to a series of dramatic personal relationships, Clint's life has been as intense and rugged as his characters. But through it all, he's remained resilient, forging a legacy that spans generations. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Clint Eastwood's life. If you enjoyed revisiting his story, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. And let us know in the comments, what's your favorite Clint Eastwood movie? Until next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next one.